so a part of me really shudders to be reporting on this or even trying to make a video about it. For what it's worth, I would say take everything I say here with a grain of salt, and quite frankly, I'm not even sure if this is really going to happen. With that being said, I feel like there is a bit of a history here with things that we know to be true about the Saw franchise, so there is some reason to take this as genuine good news about the future of the franchise, especially after the lukewarm reception that was Spiral from the Book of Saw. So with all that being said, I'm going to jump right into the news that we have and give my thoughts and opinions. A couple days ago, before the recording of this video, we got some tentative news over at Reddit r/Saw from Vince360, one of the more prolific posters on that fan site, in which he stated Twisted has elected to make a new Saw film aiming for 2023. He then followed up his initial post with a little bit more information from what we can expect from this potential movie, stating one additional tidbit: as of a few weeks ago, I heard Twisted had abandoned plans to shoot a Spiral 2 ASAP and had set their sights on making the Tobin-centric prequel with a script from the entire team of writers from Saw 4 onward, as well as newcomers, one of which being Tobin himself in a narrative support role of sorts. As of more recently, I heard they could be open up to other ideas as well as back to taking pitches. I don't know anything further or whether or not that means that we're getting a Tobin movie or yet another rebootish idea. I know the Tobin movie was a very escape room focused movie set between the first two Saw movies, but really only requires a passing knowledge of the original to enjoy. I heard a few things on the existing script, most of which may be outdated by now, as I know that they were planning to continue working on it after Spiral. I don't know what current intentions are, but it appears there is indeed interest in making another film. He then goes on to clarify some of the statements that he's made about this prequel concept, stating that they liked the Spiral film more, or at the very least they were more excited to work with Chris Rock before they got to this prequel, a lot of which we've heard from the producers and writers themselves during the release of Spiral. So as far as I'm aware, there's nothing really of note there. With that being said, there are a couple things I want to talk about when it comes to this news. First and foremost, I am not taking this as 100% guaranteed. For starters, pretty much everything reported on here seems more like a high-level guess based off of information that we previously knew, such as Twisted Pictures sitting down and looking at the numbers for Spiral and determining whether or not they wanted to move forward with a 10th film in the franchise, as well as them potentially pushing for a 2023 release, striking while the iron's hot and making sure that no one forgets that the Saw franchise is still active. We've also known for years that Tobin Bell is interested in a more creative role for the Saw franchise moving forward, not only wanting to be more a part of the narrative focus of any future sequel, but also potentially directing one if he gets the chance. Not to mention that current series writer Josh Stolberg has made it abundantly clear to fans that his potential Saw 9 would still probably see the light of day sometime in the near future. What is worth noting here is that while the writers and producers have recently come out and said that they had a prequel in mind before they ended up doing Spiral, this news was already reported on by Vince360 before any of that even came to light. For me, the most interesting update here is the potential that they're going to be bringing in Marcus Dunstan and Patrick Melton to help flesh out the prequel story that they wanted to do before Spiral. For what it's worth, I hope this news is real, because I would really like for them to move forward with a 10th entry of the franchise, especially one that focuses on main characters, even if we have to go back in a prequel format. In retrospect, I feel like Spiral was an okay movie, but I stand by my initial thought that it's a piss-poor Saw film, and I'm not entirely sure how you continue that story. I'm not saying that you have to ignore it altogether, but I feel like the story that they were trying to tell there is done, and that you can pick it up in pieces going forward with more anthology-like sequels. That being said, as I have stated multiple times, you only have Tobin Bell for so much longer, and you need to have him come back for at least one final role, and having him be alive, well, and able to interact with the entire movie instead of just flashbacks or however they decide to use him would probably be the best bet, and that would be my dream 10th entry. So a prequel at this point is probably the best thing that they can potentially do in the future. It's also worth mentioning that doing a prequel and having it be a little bit more Escape the Room akin to the first film, or maybe even the new Escape the Room franchise that's playing into its second film this past July. It's also worth noting that them doing a prequel, maybe something a little bit smaller than Spiral, or maybe even smaller than some of the other sequels that we've seen in this franchise, would mean that you can get some of the diehard fans back, bringing in some legacy characters like John, maybe Amanda, Hoffman, maybe even having Logan meet Amanda in some way, shape, or form. That would be pretty cool. But then you could potentially make it so small that you're spending less money and it would take less money to make this movie profitable, which I think is the best bet for the franchise going forward, because let's be clear, we all might be fans of this stuff, but obviously the best days of this franchise are now behind it. They've tried something new and original, star power driven, and it did not work. You need to kind of regress, do something for the fans before you start to rethink everything and reboot it sometime down the line, either with an anthology series more akin to what they did with Jigsaw and Spiral, or something even just more completely new and a reboot of the entire franchise. Anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. Guys, tell me in the comment section what you think about this news. Are you with me in taking it with a huge grain of salt that any of this is true? Or are you really interested, you feel like this is going to happen and this is exactly what you want from the franchise? Of course, Vince 360 is also trying to have his cake and eat it too by saying that this is what they've elected to do in the year that they're going to do it, and kind of the concept that the movie is going to be about. But they're also taking pitches for a potential sequel, so it might not be what he's reporting. Again, a huge grain of salt here, guys, but I thought it was more interesting than not and worth talking about. So share your thoughts in the comment section below. Hope everyone's having a fantastic day. It's been real.